Think about it. Think about it. Think about it.
And welcome again to High School Basketball Weekly. Tim Moore alongside of Rick Bua. And we have reached the halfway mark. In fact, we're over the halfway mark of the high school basketball season, Rick. And we had some tremendous action in Berkshire County basketball last week.
Yeah, it's another good week. Of course, for those of you that tuned in to watch the Drury-Hoosick boys game from Cheshire, we did something for the very first time. We held a on the road High School Basketball Weekly special edition show just before that game. Kind of worked out really well. It's been a lot of fun. Some great action to talk about this week, too.
Yeah, it really was, Rick. We had a great time up at Hoosick Valley. Of course, we preceded the live action in that ball game with a special live edition of High School Basketball Weekly with guests from both Drury, the Drury girls, head coach Ian Downey, and of course the ladies from Hoosick Valley and head coach Holly McGovern. So it was a real treat to be there and to do that show, as well as obviously covering an outstanding high school basketball game. But let's get right into the action, Rick, because as I said, we've gone over the halfway mark here during this high school season. Things are starting to take shape. And let's talk first about the Mount Greylock girls. They only had one game last week, and they had a big one. It was against Belchertown, and they lost to Belchertown in that game. Again, Mount Greylock still in the hunt in the girls' side of it.
Yeah, in the girls' Central, that's the league that Drury and Monument Mountain are also in. They're kind of hanging in there. They're 2-7 overall, 2-6 in the league. They did lose a league game to Belchertown, 45-32. Their leading scorer pretty much all season, Abby Scalaba, with 11. Probably not looking forward to this matchup, but they have to face Hoosick Valley on Thursday, January 27th. That's their next game. But again, they played Drury really, really well up at Drury. Hung around for a long period of time, lost a close ball game, and also played Agawam this year a couple times. Once extremely close, and Agawam is sitting towards the top of the league with only one loss. Drury girls also at 5-1, Agawam 6-1. We'll show you the league standings a little bit later, but I think they're going to end up kind of in the middle of the pack. I think they're going to be battling Monument Mountain for kind of like a mid spot, but Coach Jacoby, who traditionally starts slow and then picks it up, is hoping that he can get the same out of his girls and put a late season win streak together.
Yeah, they really want to. And you look at this schedule that they have. The girls, you have a tough go, as you indicated, Rick. They're going to play Hoosick Valley. That's always going to be a tough go for them. But they have some other games that are clearly winnable for Greylock, and they'll be competitive in them. So it'll be interesting to watch them as they go down the road. Another team that we've been watching closely, again, Rick, Mccain Tech, they kind of had a split week for them for the Lady Hornets, but they're still in the hunt as well, looking at the Division 5 tournament.
Yeah, they lost down at Mount Everett. Now, I would call that a slight upset, Tim. But again, playing shorthanded, Coach Budai with it's well known. We talk about it here on this show. It's been in the papers, and she's been quoted. It's really, really tough to suit only 7 girls. So if you don't have kids on your JVs that are ready to step up to play varsity ball, then you have to keep them where they are. They got to play in the preliminary game. So she is taking the kids that have been with this program for a while. She feels comfortable enough to put on the floor day in and day out, and she's doing it. And she's getting contributions from the 2 bigs that we talk about every week, junior Macy Tatro and sophomore Hannah Boisvert. And very, very shortly, probably any game now, Izzy Lacasse should be ready to return to the lineup. And she's been their leading scorer for the last 2 or 3 years. She gives them the spunk. She gives them some backcourt. And hopefully they'll find a way to play as a team and get some wins. They're only a couple games under 500. They did lose that game, as I said, to Mount Everett, 36-31. Macy Tatro with 10, Boisvert with 9, and easily defeated Hamden Charter 54-16. Tatro with 18, Boisvert with 10. So they have been the 1 and 2 scorers over the last few weeks with the class out. So with her coming back, hopefully they'll find a way to get all three of those kids in the scoring column. And as we say often on this show, you get 3 kids in doubles. That's a good sign for a victory.
And again, like Greylock, looking down the road, the remainder of their regular season schedule and, of course, the Division V Western Mass Tournament at the end of the year, they've got a lot of games that they're going to be very competitive in, and if they can get a streak going, they too, I think, can get enough wins to qualify for the Western Mass Tournament. A team that I think is going to easily qualify and is really playing some good basketball, the Drury Blue Devils, Rick. They now stand at 7-3.
Yeah, it's kind of a quiet 7-3, but certainly an improvement from last year's record, and the kids are playing harder and better. And I talked to Coach Downey recently myself, and I told him I can see the big difference, and he was glad to hear that, and he was hoping that the team knew about it and the fans could see it. It's just the hard defense that they're playing. They have been playing that way all season long, and he's got them very aggressive. And they talked about it. We had him on High School Basketball Weekly last Saturday up at Hoosick Valley, and yeah, they're playing okay. It was a tough matchup against the Taconic Braves. They did drop that one up at the Bucky Bullet Gym, 58-42. Aaliyah Phillips led the way for Taconic with 27. They played shorthanded without Faith Cross, and it was kind of an off night. Taconic did a pretty good job. I've been told, and keeping Kayla McGrath from going off into double digits. She was held, I think, to 5 points. They were led by Alyssa Russell, their second leading scorer this year, with double figures with 12. And they host Belchertown tonight, and we will be up there to do that ball game on NBCTC.
And again, Rick, I try to look down the schedule, down the line. Of course, they got to play. Drury has to play Springfield ICS again, who beat Drury earlier in the year, and I thought it was a fairly competitive game. They have Agawam a couple times, but Drury has a lot of games, which you look at the schedule. Of course, you have to play the games, but they look winnable. And I'll tell you, I think they're going to put together a nice record by the time the season is over, and that should help their ranking. And of course, we're going to next week hopefully have some of the MIAA rankings so that people can see kind of where these teams are stacked up in the new alignments and in the new tournament formats. But the Drury Blue Devils are in good shape at this point in the season. Like I said, just over the halfway point of the season, and they're looking like they're going to be real solid in Division V. The Hoosick Valley Hurricanes went on a little bit of a run, Rick, and although they lost a tough one last night to the Pittsfield Generals. I was at that game and saw it, and it was Pittsfield jumped on Hoosick Valley early in the first half. Had an 18-point lead at halftime, but boy, Hoosick Valley came storming back in the second half, led by Avery McGrath. They made a real game of this one.
Yeah, I can't even imagine the last time a Hoosick Valley girls basketball team was down in double digits at halftime, or much less during the game, period. So, yeah, Tim, it was interesting to talk to you off camera before the show when you were telling me about what happened down there. I read a little bit about it on iBerkshires this morning, and it seems like Pittsfield really jumped out, and once you have that hill to climb, and sometimes it's just a little bit too much, but kudos to the Hurricanes in that third quarter run to knock it down from nearly 20 points down to 7, led by Avery McGrath, who has continued to play incredible basketball. And also, Tim, we talk a lot about all the contributors on that team too. Gabby Billets that does so much, and the Garabedians and LaSures and so on and so on, and they get such a team effort. But Rylan Whittick, who missed the first 6 games, came back, and a lot of folks that know Hoosick basketball said she's going to make the world a difference, and so far she has, and she's been playing pretty well.
She certainly has. She had a nice game last night. She had 9 points and some solid action on both ends of the court for Hoosick Valley, and she had a couple big games earlier in the week. And for her efforts, Rick, she's this week's Girls High School Player of the Week, Rylan Whittick.
Yeah, they had a makeup game last Saturday while we were up there, Tim, getting ready to do the Hoosick and Drury boys game, and they crushed Granby 72-21. And Rylan led the way with 20 points. And the night before had 10 versus Lee, and as you said, 9 last night against Pittsfield. And the seniors really playing good ball. I'm sure Holly McGovern is so happy that she's back, and she had so much value to that team and everything that she does. She can score, she can play defense. She's come through the program, as I call it, up there, and along with some of the youth, is given with Avery McGrath the senior leadership that team needs. All the teams needs leadership in some fashion, and she is a leader on that team and is going to play a big role for sure in their post-season games.
No question about it. She's a solid two-way player and this week's Girls High School Player of the Week. And Rick, switching our attention now to the boys' side of the ledger. But before we do that, I just want to spend a minute, Rick, talking. We'd be really remiss not talking about Wacona here. Rick, they've been playing without Grace Wigington, one of their top scorers, a sophomore, but they still stand at 10-2, and they're playing some great basketball out of Division IV.
Yeah, they're 6-2 in the league, 10-2 overall. Both losses to Hoosick Valley, each by 5 points, and then went down last week, or actually very recently, and knocked off Amherst, previously unbeaten Amherst, by 5, 47-42. Again, the senior leader, Olivia Gambaroni, with 21, leading the way for the Warriors. Getting contributions from a couple of kids, Tim, that are scoring now in the absence of Grace Wigington, who's averaging 20 or so a game. Emma Belcher had 13 and Eva Eberwein had 10. And I don't have an insight. I don't know folks down in Dalton, so I don't know why Grace Wigington, one of their leading scorers, has been out. But I'm thinking injury, because if it was illness, she would have been back by now. So I'm sure Liz Kay is very hopeful that she'll be back soon. And, you play the season out, and you have to play with who you have. Sometimes teams are playing shorthanded almost every night. Somebody's playing shorthanded, but nevertheless, hopefully the virus will subside enough, and injuries will get kids back to where they can play in the postseason tournament.
We can only hope so, Rick. But talking about the boys on the boys' side, going to talk about McCann Tech Hornets, Rick. They've now won 6 in a row at one point before they had their winning streak just stop.
Yeah, they won their 6th by knocking off Mount Everett in Sheffield, 44-43 in overtime. They actually led 33-19 after 3, and then the Eagles outscored the Hornets 20-6 in the fourth quarter to force overtime. But they came out with a win. That's always a tough game when you play Mount Everett. Two teams that mirror each other, even though they haven't played in the same league for so many years now. But Jake Howland with 16 and Owen Gagney with 13 in that game. And then they had their 6-game winning streak snapped. Sometimes you just have an off night, and they did have an off night down at Smith Volk, dropping a 46-32 decision. And they were outscored 16-6 in the fourth quarter, and that was the determining quarter that did the Hornets in. Owen Gagney with 10, the only Hornet in double figures, and their next game is against Hamden Charter. So they're doing really, really well. Again, we'll show the standings a little bit later, and we'll show why that McCann will have every opportunity to get towards the top of their league.
No question about it. Another team that's played well and continues to play well and continues to win along and move along, Mount Greylock. Yeah,
Mount Greylock, there probably isn't a team, Tim, in Berkshire County that I think is in the league that they really, really should be in. They are. And I think the MIA did a great job in putting all the divisions together. And they certainly are playing really good basketball overall. They're 8-3, 6-0 in their league. They opened up a huge 17-2 first quarter lead, went on to beat Franklin Tech 62-43 to remain undefeated, as I said, in the Hampshire North. Chase Doyle with 15, Max McAllister added 11. Their next game is against Smith Academy. That's another league matchup. So they play Coach Thistle type of Greylock basketball. They should be 7-0 after that one. We'll see what happens.
Absolutely, and they really look like they're in a great position. We'll talk about this when we go over the standings, but qualifying for Western Mass is, of course, winning 50% of your games and or finishing first or second in your league. And they look like they got a real good stranglehold on their league. We'll go over that, and so they're going to qualify, I think, not only by winning enough games, but I think they'll qualify by finishing either first or second. I have them really winning that league. So they should qualify that way. Let's get to some of the action we had. We had, of course, Rick, the live broadcast last Saturday between Drury and Hoosick Valley up at Hoosick Valley, and it was kind of a unique situation. It's probably the biggest high school crowd that we've had in the last 2 years due to the pandemic. It was a great atmosphere. We were there, of course, and it always lives up to its billing, and it was just a great game.
It was a lot of fun, and I can tell you on a personal note, when I walk into that gymnasium, whether it's as a spectator or working with you at NBCTC to cover the game, you never know what you're going to get up there. So, sure. Again, you hear this all the time. You can throw the records out the window. Sometimes it means a lot more than others, but this one, it really comes true. As I said over and over again on this show, I know plenty of times where Drury's gone in favored and walked away with a loss. A couple of years ago that happened. Hoosick Valley always plays well up there. Coach Robinson, over his tenure, has had a little bit easier time up at the Bucky Billah Gym than Coach Reset has down in Cheshire. So coming away with a 45-31 hard-fought win. Coach Reset, I know we had him on after the game, was extremely happy and proud of his kids. And as a true coach, doesn't care what the final score was, doesn't care how many points his team scored, cares about how many they gave up and who comes out with the win. So, yeah, it was great atmosphere. It made us feel, Tim, like we never had the pandemic. It was the old matchup, the red versus the blue. It was fantastic, and the kids played really, really hard. I talked to a lot of folks that after the game said, "Geez, we're a little sloppy." Well, yeah, I was sloppy. I was sloppy on offense because of the defensive pressure that both teams put on.
Right.
So, give each team A+ for effort, for hustle. Hoosick Valley trapped and pressed pretty much the whole game. Probably didn't get as many turnovers as they were hoping for. But then again, there were a lot of easy shots. The Drury missed in the first half. Hoosick Valley had some nice wide open looks to start the game that they missed. So the shooting percentage certainly was off, but the effort was there. It was 45-31. But I didn't feel like it was a 14-point spread. I think a lot of the free throws that Zach Davenant made down the stretch when Hoosick had to foul just to get the ball back made the difference. So that loss may have been by double digits, but I didn't look at it that way. But it was a great game.
Yeah, a couple observations I'd like to make, Rick, about it. At first, it was just really great to see Coach Robinson, Coach Reset back on the floor, coaching against each other and coaching their respective squads. They have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. They're coaching compadres. They are friendly to each other. When that ball goes up in the air, they are competitors first and foremost. And it was just great for them, great for high school basketball to see those two people back. And we interviewed Coach Reset after the game. He was physically, I think, and emotionally spent. Just so proud of his squad for the effort that they put on in that game, because they left it all out on the floor. And in particular, I was particularly impressed with the defensive effort by Logan Davis and Zach Davenant. Davenant covering Carson Meswar and Logan Davis covering Frank Field. That's a real tall task for both players, and they did a tremendous job in neutralizing both of those fine basketball players.
They did, Tim. It was incredible. This is exactly why, there's so much emphasis put on scores, or a double-double, as you say. In other words, double figures in points and in rebounds. But there are role players, and there's role players on every team. And I'll give you, like Sean Kastner's a role player. Caleb Harrington for Hoosick Valley. Joey McGovern, little scoring, but also a role player. But the two role players for the Blue Devils, even though Anthony Pettengill is one, the two foremost Blue Devil role players are Davenant and Davis, and they did a great job. They held Frank Field and Carson Meswar to half their season point average at 10 and 11. So kudos to them. And as I said earlier, Davenant hit some big free throws to just ice the game for Drury. They were led by Louis Gelati, who scored 16 and grabbed 18 rebounds. So, you don't know. We don't have a player of the game. We do a player of the week here, but he did have a pretty good game, that's for sure, when a kid has a double-double of 16 and 18. Ben Moulton added 12, and as I said, Meswar and Frank Field were held to 10 and 11. So That was a great one. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And for anybody, again, we say this often. If you really want to experience high school athletics at its finest, you really want to attend one of these basketball games between Hoosick and Drury, whether it's the boys or the girls. The players are just so competitive and to put so much emotion and effort into the contest. It really is a treat to be at these contests. Of course, whether you're there or whether you're calling the game, as we had the privilege of doing, it's been great. And it's just sad that they only play once this year, but we'll see them again at some point down the road. That's for sure. And you talked about Ben Moulton. He had such a great game up at Hoosick Valley on that end. He had another fine game against Frontier just the other night, and he's our boys high school player of the week.
Yeah, for the second time this year in 7 programs, Ben Moulton, who had 12 against Hoosick Valley and had 21 in a loss the other night against Frontier, is our player of the week, and he's averaging probably 17 or 18 still right now, and that's excellent. And he's their shooter. He's a three-point specialist, but can play inside and outside, and he played pretty well the other night too. And after that game the other night, Drury's going to try to rebound as they face Greenfield at the end of this week.
Yep, Ben Moulton, our boys high school player of the week. And take a moment now, Rick, to take a look at the current standings in the leagues that our local teams are playing in, as well as talk a little bit about the preliminary rankings that are coming out for the divisions that they play in. And looking at Mccain Tech, the Lady Hornets, again, Rick, they're at 3-5, 1-4 in their conference. You look at that, and it's just, of course, as you have indicated several times over the last couple of weeks, Mccain Tech playing a little bit shorthanded, but they're still in a spot here if they can get their squad back together to make a run.
Yeah, their league is a little bit tougher, Tim, than I think they got enough respect from the MIAA to where they were placed in that Franklin West. East Hampton, 7-0 in the league, 11-0 overall, as you can see. Southwick, 5-2. Lee, very, very good. Lee girls basketball team. Pope Francis, they'll be facing this week. Mount Everett, that just upset them. So, I see them kind of like in the middle of the pack, but certainly an outside shot at a tournament run if they can get some backcourt with Izzy Cass coming back. They've lost some close games, and hopefully, as I said, when she comes back, they'll be able to get some scoring from their two bigs and go from there.
Yeah, switch over to Girls Central there, Rick. You see, Drury, we talked about them. They're 7-3, 5-1. They got a few big games coming up. I like them in that division. I think they still could win that conference. I really do. That league. They're staying at 5-1. Of course, they have a rematch with Springfield ICS. They have 2 games, I believe, left with Agawam. But the Drury Blue Devils are in a good position either to qualify based upon qualify for the Western Mass tournament or for the state tournament based upon their record. But I still think they can win that league.
Yeah, they certainly can. They're going to have to go to Springfield and beat Springfield International Charter that beat them up here a couple of weeks ago. And again, as you said, Tim, they haven't played Agawam. But, the game isn't played on paper, but I do know that Mount Greylock played Agawam twice and played them really tough. And Drury just overtook the Mounties last week. So, I think that league is up for grabs, and Drury should be towards the top. If they don't win the league, I see them finishing behind Springfield ICS and certainly having double-digit wins to gain a tournament berth.
And you look at the girls suburban, interesting league, Rick. We talked about that, the quality of the competition in that league. Hoosick Valley right on top at the present time, tied with Amherst as a result of Wacona knocking off Amherst. Now, Hoosick Valley has played Wacona twice. Those are the only 2 losses Wacona has suffered this year. They have a rematch with Amherst coming up Saturday. And, of course, Amherst has to play Wacona once again. I can envision a scenario there, Rick, where it ends up with a 3-way tie for first place in that league.
I totally agree. And as you said, Tim, Hoosick Valley's only loss was to Amherst. Amherst's only loss was to Wacona. Wacona's only 2 losses were to Hoosick. So, they've got to play each other again, and anything can happen. South Hadley, the only other team with a winning record at 5-3. So it's very, very possible. But Hoosick Valley still sitting at 7-1 is finally by a 1-game lead over Amherst, just based upon games played. But it's going to be a wild finish in that girls' suburban.
No question about it. Switching our attention a little bit to the boys' side of it, Rick, you got Greylock and Mccain there in the Hampshire North and the Tri-County North. Mccain Tech, the boys on top in the Tri-County North, and they, you look at that overtime loss that they had with Mount Everett. That was kind of a big one for them. And a big win for Mount Everett. But I like Mccain Tech to win that league.
Yeah, I do too. As you can see, sitting at 3-1, 6-3 overall. They're sitting in a perfect spot. They're in the stronger of the tri-counties. I think the slight teams that have a little bit an easier schedule are put together in the Tri-County South. I think they put a little bit of stronger teams per se in the North and or in the Tri-County North. So yeah, they look pretty good. They're going to be right at the very top one way or another. And again, I'm really thinking this year Coach Bullitt will get that league victory, or will get the 10 wins and get a tournament berth.
Right, and it'd be well deserved. And boys, Hampshire North, Mount Greylock, they're undefeated in their league. 8-3 overall. They're looking like they're in good shape to win that league based upon the rest of their schedule and where they stand. And Coach Sissel has to be happy with the spot his squad's in right at this point.
Yeah, 8-3 overall, 6-0 in the conference. I don't know if they'll suffer a league loss. That's how confident I am with that team. So they will be a tournament D5 team. They will win the Hampshire North. I don't know what their final record's going to be, but I think of the 4 local teams here in Northern Berkshire we cover, Mount Greylock has got the easiest path to a league championship.
Hampshire South Drury tied with Pioneer Valley Hopkins Academy for first place at the present time. But Rick, I like Drury to win this league. I've said this from the get-go. Coach Rissett's got his team clicking on all cylinders, and they've been clicking on all cylinders without Big Tim Brazo, their center, available to them. So I like Drury to win.
Yeah, they're going to be right at the very top, Tim. They've already played Lennox twice. They'll have our second meetup with Greenfield, and then they've got to play Mahar. But I don't see any problem there at all. They have not faced Pioneer Valley or Hopkins Academy, all sitting with 4-1 records, same as the Blue Devils. The Blue Devils were upset the other night. I feel it was an upset against Frontier. Frontier really came to play. Drury took care of Frontier down there. But they didn't have their big kid, and he's a junior. His name is Joe Thompson. He did not play the first half. He did play the second half, and he only played part of the second half and had a double-double in points and rebounds. He makes the difference on that team. They got a couple of good ball handlers and one extremely good shooter. So Frontier at 8-4 is a very good basketball team. 3-3. I think those 3 losses, it's going to be hard for them to come back now. So the Hampshire South is going to be, Drury looks really, really good, but they got to take care of business. They got to beat Hopkins and Pioneer, who they haven't played yet. And
of course, the Bi-County East, we had it up there. Hoosick Valley, what a division this is. We've talked about it. Hoosick Valley, Wacona, Bay State, South Hadley, Monument. Those 5 teams toss up a coin. Hoosick Valley is going to have. They're currently tied for the top, but they got a tough road to go as they finish out their schedule. So it'll be interesting to see. That is a loaded league. Yeah,
I think the MIA certainly knew what they were doing, Tim, when they put that league together. And Hoosick Valley, the only one loss, that was to Bay State. And Wacona, as you know, a great team. Monument Mountain coming on really strong. So it's a toss-up right there for sure.
Well, that's going to do it for this week High School Basketball Weekly. Rick, of course, you can see us every Thursday at 7:30. We rebroadcast Saturday at 10 o'clock in the morning, Sunday at 7 o'clock at night on channel 1302. That's High School Basketball Weekly. That's going to do it for this week. Next week, we hope to have our preliminary rankings for the tournament, for the state tournament available to us. So we'll go over that as well. For Rick Bull, I'm Tim Morey saying good night for High School Basketball Weekly.